Welcome back. New in the Hunter Biden corruption story, reports are surfacing he did business with Boston gangster Whitey Bulger's nephew. Emails show Jim Bulger played a key role in a number of Hunter's Chinese business ventures. Joining me right now is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She is a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Oversight and Veterans Affairs Committees. Congresswoman, thanks very much for being here. I know you are one of the lawmakers calling for a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden. What are you looking to find out, and do you think a special counsel will be named?
Well, as a ranking member on the Oversight Committee, I did write that letter, join that letter last week, asking the Department of Justice to appoint a special counsel, a lawyer to investigate Hunter Biden, because the more we read of these 80,000 texts and emails, the worse it gets. And as you mentioned, just this week, there were deeply concerning media reports saying that that these business deals, some of these foreign business deals, had ties to the nephew of a famous mobster. And just days ago, we learned that the Pop's bills were getting paid by all the money that Hunter Biden was making. And so it's really something that we've got to investigate. And if it doesn't happen now with Democrats in the majority, then it certainly will when Republicans win the majority in November, because we're going to be running the tables on oversight. We're going to be the ones issuing subpoenas. If you don't show up, we're going to hold you in contempt. So that's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got a John Solomon report in front of me. He says President Biden was more involved in Hunter Biden's financial and business dealings than previously acknowledged, allowing his son to pay some of his bills, diverting one of his tax refunds to his son. So Joe Biden gave the tax return to Hunter, rubbing elbows with the first son's foreign client, and even directly referring a friend who wanted to do some work with Hunter. So it's clearly a Joe Biden story, not a Hunter Biden story. Should the GOP take the majority in November, would you look to have impeachment proceedings over this?
Well, I think it would really determine the investigation. I didn't vote to impeach President Donald Trump because there's got to be investigation if you're going to hold those kinds of hearings, and that's where we can do it on judiciary, on oversight, on different committees. We should investigate this 100%. And if it turns out that a crime was committed and that crime meets the muster test, then yes, we should pursue impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden. Joe Biden has denied any of this ever transpired. He denied any knowledge of Hunter Biden's foreign business deals. But when you read the emails and the text, it's very clear that somebody else was paying his bills as a result of those foreign business deals. And so it's something that we absolutely must investigate. And oversight, I know that every Republican member on oversight is going to want to subpoena Hunter Biden. If they won't do it with Democrats in the majority, well, then we're going to do it January when we come back next session.
Yeah, one of the emails said, I am depositing the refund, the tax refund, into his account and writing a check in that amount back to you, since he owes it to you. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden back and forth. Let me move on to policy elsewhere. Nearly $80 to fill your tank. That's just one car. It's higher with other bigger cars. Congresswoman, millions of Americans feeling the pinch from sky-high gasoline prices. But the president keeps trying to pass the blame. First it was the oil companies, then it was Russia's President Putin, and now it's Greg Abbott. I mean, your thoughts on the inflation and what you're going to do about it in terms of this pain that everyone's feeling, not just on gasoline, but food, services, 40-year highs in inflation.
I was on the road in South Carolina yesterday. I spent $80 to fill up 21 gallons of gas, and it's double what it was over a year ago. And I asked every American, what could you do with that extra $40 in your pocket? How much more food could you buy for your family, or shoes for your kids, et cetera? This does affect every single family across the country. I filed a bill called the Penny Plan 2 weeks ago that for every dollar the federal government spends, we'd cut a penny from their budget. And you'd balance the budget over 5 or so years, and after that budget is balanced, you can increase federal spending over 10%, 10 to 13% annually. Now, despite COVID and 19 and everything else we've had, I just read yesterday that the federal government is still getting record revenues every single year, but they don't balance a budget. That'll go a long way to cutting spending. We also need to cut taxes. As you know, when you have higher taxes, that adds to our inflation woes. So does the Federal Reserve printing trillions of dollars every single year, 4 or 5 trillion a year at this juncture. But all those things add to supply chain and inflation woes that Americans are feeling that pinch every single day.
Well, look, it's about to get more expensive. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates, so that's going to make our borrowing more expensive. And then, of course, Joe Biden's budget calls for tax increases. So, you know, things are about to get much more pressured for the American people. Meanwhile, no acknowledgement whatsoever out of this White House on the open border. They're about to lift Title 42. And there is a recent Fox News report where the lawmakers are pressing the Biden administration over this Fox News report that the Customs and Border Patrol could be sending doctors to the southern border to help with the expected migrant surge once Title 42 goes away, Congresswoman. You're a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. What do you want to say as far as this new plan to send doctors to the border and take them away from vets?
It is insane that an already overworked, overburdened VA hospital system that on average takes 30 days for a veteran who served our country, who was willing to take a bullet for our freedom and our democracy here and around the world, that they were going to extend those resources and divert them to the border because Title 42 is expiring. That is insanity. And last week, myself and a number of other Republicans tried to have a vote on Title 42, and the chair of the floor, the Speaker of the House, ruled it out of order. And so this is insanity that we're seeing. We are incentivizing this kind of illegal immigration. As you said earlier, had Kat Kamek out of Florida, representative out of Florida earlier, talking about this issue. But the cartels, we're literally paying the cartels. We are funding their illegal cartel gang operations, $64 billion a year. The majority of that coming from the human trafficking that we just allow and the fentanyl that we just allow to walk across the border, and we're not doing anything about it at this juncture. It's insanity.
Yeah. And it's pretty extraordinary. We're going to talk with the Attorney General of Texas. Ken Paxton is coming up. Congresswoman, thanks very much for being here.